So last week we heard about the flood. And in that story we heard that everyone on earth thought only about evil. And it hurt God. It made God sad that people kept choosing sin over him. So God was going to do something. God was going to use water to get rid of sin. But God also was going to keep his promise that the Savior was going to come from Eve's family. So he had Noah build an ark, build a boat, so that Noah and his family would be safe. And they had the animals go on the ark so that life could still go on. Now the judgment part can be really hard to hear because God is angry at sin. And I'm very aware of my own sins. I'm sure all of us are aware of our own sins. And it makes me sad. It makes me sad to know that I've chosen myself over God. It makes me sad to know that I've chosen sin over God. And when I hear this story, I find myself thinking, wow, I feel a whole lot more like the wicked people in this story. But remember, at the end of last week, we heard there was a glimmer of hope. We also heard that that glimmer was going to grow. So let's check it out. The waters flooded the earth for 150 days, but God showed concern for Noah. He also showed concern for all the wild animals and livestock that were with Noah in the ark. So God sent a wind to sweep over the earth, and the waters began to go down. The springs at the bottom of the oceans had been closed. The windows of the sky had also been closed, and the rain had stopped falling from the sky. The water on the earth continued to go down. At the end of the 150 days, the water had gone down. On the 17th day of the 7th month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. The waters continued to go down until the 10th month. On the first day of that month, the tops of the mountains could be seen. After 40 days, Noah opened a window he had made in the ark. He sent out a raven. It kept flying back and forth until the water on the earth had dried up. Then Noah sent out a dove. He wanted to see if the water on the surface of the ground had gone down. But the dove couldn't find any place to rest. Water still covered the whole surface of the earth. So the dove returned to Noah and the ark. Noah reached out his hand and took the dove in. He brought it back to himself in the ark. He waited 7 more days. Then he sent out the dove again from the ark. In the evening, the dove returned to him. There in its beak was a freshly picked olive leaf. So Noah knew the water on the earth had gone down. He waited 7 more days. Then he sent out the dove again, but this time it didn't return to him. It was the first day of the first month of Noah's 601st year. The water on the earth had dried up. Then Noah removed the covering from the ark. He saw that the surface of the ground was dry. By the 27th day of the 2nd month, the earth was completely dry. Then God said to Noah, "Come out of the ark. Bring your wife and your sons and their wives with you. Bring out every kind of living thing that is with you. Bring the birds, the animals, and all the creatures that move along the ground. Then they can multiply on the earth. They can have little ones, and the number of them can increase." So Noah came out of the ark. His sons and his wife and his sons' wives were with him. All the animals came out of the ark. The creatures that move along the ground also came out. So did all the birds. Everything that moves on the land came out of the ark, one kind after another. Then Noah built an altar to honor the Lord. He took some of the clean animals and birds. He sacrificed them on the altar as burnt offerings. The smell of the offerings pleased the Lord. He said to himself, "I will never put a curse on the ground again because of human beings. I will not do it even though their hearts are always directed towards evil. Their thoughts are evil from the time they are young. I will never destroy all living things again as I have just done. As long as the earth lasts, there will always be a time to plant and a time to gather crops. As long as the earth lasts, there will always be cold and heat. There will always be summer and winter, day and night." Then God blessed Noah and his sons. And God spoke to Noah and to his sons who were with him. He said, "I am now making my covenant with you and with all your children who will be born after you. I am making it also with every living creature that was with you in the ark. I am making my covenant with the birds, the livestock, and all the wild animals. I'm making it with all the creatures that came out of the ark with you. In fact, I'm making it with every living thing on the earth. Here's my covenant I am making with you. The waters of a flood will never again destroy all life. A flood will never again destroy the earth. Here is the sign of the covenant I'm making. I've put my rainbow in the clouds. It will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Sometimes when I bring clouds over the earth, a rainbow will appear in them. Then I will remember my covenant between me and you and every kind of living creature. The waters will never again become a flood to destroy all life. When the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it. I will remember that my covenant will last forever. It is a covenant between me and every kind of living creature on earth. So God kept Noah and his family safe. God kept the animals on the ark safe. And naturally, we would think that that is a good ending to the story. But I don't know if you noticed, Noah and his family coming out of the ark wasn't the end of the story. There's more to it than just that. So after all the action, God had a little chat with Noah. And in their conversation, we heard and were introduced to a really, really important idea. We heard the word covenant. And covenant is going to be something that comes up throughout the whole rest of the Bible. So right now is a really good time to dig into what covenant is. A covenant is, well, it's like a promise. It's like an agreement. It's like a contract, but it's way more serious than that. I think the covenant that most people today would be familiar with is marriage. When a man and a woman get married, they vow to love and care for each other until death. They vow to share everything and to be faithful to their spouse. They're making those vows. They're making that covenant before their friends, before their family, and before God. They're really serious promises, really serious vows, because it's a covenant. And that's why divorce is so painful. It's the breaking of a covenant. Well, God's covenant is kind of like that, but if you can imagine it, even more serious. And also notice another thing. In this particular covenant, it's one-sided. God is the one that has to hold up the end of the deal. God is promising that he won't destroy all life again. And he even says he knows that human hearts are pointed towards evil. And yet he promises not to destroy all life again. Now, God's covenant has another connection to marriage too. Now, usually when two people get married, they exchange rings. And the rings are a reminder of the covenant between both of them. Well, God gives us a reminder too. When it rains, we might see a rainbow. When it rains, we could get worried that everything is going to flood again. God could be flooding the whole earth. But the rainbow reminds us of the promise that he made, that he wasn't going to do that. And when God makes a promise, he keeps his promises. And that rainbow, well, it's a bow, like a bow and arrow kind of bow. And when we look at a rainbow, what direction is it pointed? It's pointed up, towards heaven. God's bow, God's rainbow, is hinting at some things that are going to come. Things like peace. God is hanging his weapon up and isn't going to use it anymore. It's also hinting at sacrifice, that things have to be given up to take care of sin. And it's pointed at God. But these things are going to get clearer and clearer as we move forward through the story. This isn't going to be the only covenant that God makes in the Bible. So as we move along, let's keep our eyes and our ears out to hear for more.